Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to JD's Veranda, where most podcasts talk, but we start conversations. Today, we're going to be talking about power and wellness of Black men, the help and of Black men, and the issues that we go through. Did you know Black men have one of the lowest life expectancies of all major demographic groups in America? And many of the health conditions taking our lives can be prevented or managed with early action. So tonight, we're asking a serious question. Why are so many Black men waiting until there's a crisis before taking control of their health? This conversation could save a life. Maybe yours, your fathers, your brothers, or your sons. Welcome to JD's Veranda, where most podcasts talk, but we start conversations. Today's topic is power and wellness, Black men redefining health. Look like some of my guests are having some issues right now. But we did do an audio video check prior to. Sabrina, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. So we'll wait for Sydney to come back. I guess we're having a little technical difficulties. Oh man.
What's going on?
No, I'm just waiting for him to come back.
Oh, okay.
There he is.
What's going on, my brother? Sorry about that, man. The weather has gotten so just all of a sudden gotten bad down here, and man, we lost our internet for a second.
Well, it's fine, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, Don, we see you on, but your camera is not on. So I'm going to turn it off until I see your camera come on the side over here. Okay, back to what we were saying. Welcome to JD's Veranda, where most podcasts talk, but we start conversations. Today's topic is power and wellness, Black men redefining health. Tonight, I'm joined by two outstanding healthcare professionals, Miss Sabrina Gaffney and Mr. Sidney R. Langford Jr. Sabrina is a graduate registered nurse with 30 years of experience as a licensed practical nurse. Throughout her career, she has worked in medical surgical nursing, dialysis, and hospice care, gaining valuable experience in managing complex health conditions, educating patients, and providing compassionate support. Her work has strengthened her belief that quality healthcare begins with trust, respect, and meeting people where they are. As a black woman in healthcare, Sabrina is especially passionate about representation, breaking down barriers, and helping Black men take a more active role in their health. Mr. Sidney R. Langford III, affectionately known as Big Sid, earned his nursing degrees from Georgia Perimeter College and the University of Alabama at Birmingham, where he completed both his bachelor's and master's degrees in nursing. Presently, he serves as a certified registered nurse practitioner, bringing years of healthcare experience, compassion, and service to his work. As a stage 4 prostate cancer survivor, Sydney is also a passionate advocate for awareness, early detection, education, and hope, especially among Black men. He has been happily married to his wife, Erica, for 26 years, is the proud father of 3 children, and is a dedicated member of D Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Where he is the current Alabama statewide organization Omega Man of the Year.
Congratulations.
Thank you both for joining. So we're going to jump right into this conversation and just pose questions to you all, to the both of you, and just get your input from all the experience that you have. And whoever, I'm not going to specify who the question is going to go to, just whoever wants to answer the question, answer. What would you say are the top health challenges that are commonly seen in African American men, and why do you think those persist?
Well, I'll take a stab at it, being that I work with a whole lot of these things. Good evening. And with Black males, there are a plethora of um, conditions that affect us. One is hypertension, probably uh, onsets at an early age, type 2 diabetes, obesity, heart disease, kidney disease, prostate cancer, colorectal cancer, mental illness, and other diseases of chronic illnesses. And some of the causes of them are multifactorial. You got genetics definitely plays a huge part of it, especially things that are coming from the maternal side. Um, Stress, sometimes sedentary activities and stuff, all those things, all of that contributes to these conditions. Perfect example, hypertension and diabetes together are just pretty much lethal because both of them have such they do such destruction to vasculature that sets us up for kidney disease, heart attacks, strokes, all of those things. And the sad thing about those two conditions, they can be controlled if we do the things that we're supposed to do. Get more exercise. If we get put on medications, take the medications as prescribed, stuff of that nature. So, in my opinion, those are definitely the biggest things that plague the Black male community. Uh,
I
And
would,
Sabrina, what would you add to that?
I would agree with what Sid was saying. I am always about preventive measures first, and the stigma behind having to go to the doctor and not being the strong Black man that you are, it limits our Black men from wanting to go to the doctor. Not to mention they don't have the health insurance or is not provided to them. But I think one thing that is very important is because of genetics, you can't change genetics. So it has to start there. So if you are already aware that mama, grandmama, aunts, uncles, cousins has heart issues, they have high blood pressure, they have diabetes, they have their cholesterol is high, the LDL is high, So these are things that you know that your family has. So right then and there, there's your first preventive information that you need to take and grab a hold to. If mama has high blood pressure, diabetes, then you probably have it. You need to go and have a test. You need to go and be examined. And once they tell you these things, you need to follow the protocol. You need to follow whatever regimen that they give you to prevent things from getting worse. It's an ongoing cycle. You have to start somewhere in order to alleviate it. So if you're told that you have high blood pressure and you need to take certain medications, you need to change your diet, you need to walk 30 minutes 5 times a week. These are things that you need to do. And so continuing to educate and follow up. Don't just go to the doctor, they tell you this and then you don't go back. You need to go back. You need to go back for the follow up appointments. You need to maintain these things. You need to change your way of living. And so you can live a healthier life. Like Sid said, diabetes can be controlled, high blood pressure can be controlled, but you have to start. You have to start somewhere first in order for that to happen.
Speaking
Hey,
of,
can I piggyback on what she just said too?
yes, sir.
What she made some absolute amazing points there. But we have to also, when we get put on medications and stuff of that nature, we need to follow up if the medication is working. For example, somebody gets put on blood pressure medicine. So how do you know if the blood pressure medicine is working if you don't check your blood pressure? You have to be proactive in that with with diabetes as well. I woke up, my blood sugar was 90. Okay, so what was it 2 hours after you ate?
Hmm.
That everybody, yeah, you don't eat throughout the night, so your blood pressure should be 90. But
Exactly.
what is your blood pressure? What is your blood sugar 2 hours after you eat? And then 3 hours. If it's still the same, you don't have enough insulin and you are absolutely damaging your blood vessels. So
Hmm.
you have to be proactive when these people put you on medicines. And when you go to the doctor, another thing that sends me absolutely through the roof. What did the doctor say? Oh, he said my numbers were good. Oh, okay. What were your numbers? I don't know. He just said they were good. What? Bruh, I mean, kidney numbers are point 0.6 to 1.2. When it gets to 1.5, you're in trouble. That joint, that reference range is so low. 1.5, you need to be watching your blood pressure. You need to be watching your blood sugar and stuff because all that is going to do is add to your problem. So
Hmm.
we have to get out of just saying, well, the doctor said my numbers are good. Make the doctor tell you what your numbers are and what was the trend. Okay,
Right.
I'm off my box. Okay,
And
go ahead, brother moderator.
that's one thing that since my sister is a nurse, my daughter is a nurse. Whenever I go and get my test, my results back, I always call them, screenshot it, send it to them, ask them what this means. Some of it I've been getting those tests so long through the military. I know what HDL and LDL and those are, but there's other tests that I have no idea what they are. So I can attest to understanding, what your results are. We spoke of high blood pressure. High blood pressure is often called the silent killer because someone can have it without experiencing any noticeable symptoms. Why is it so dangerous for Black men to wait until they feel something is wrong before getting checked? I think we somewhat went over that, but that's still a question that's posed to you all.
I'll start because I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. A lot of them don't go and worry about it until something
Yes.
happens. It's too late. The thing about it is, once you become an adult, I have a soon to be 25-year-old. First thing I said, you need to go to the doctor. You need to get some baseline stuff set up, and you also need to continue to get checked out for some things because I'm hypertensive. I became hypertensive in my 20s. Now I've always been a big guy. Both of my parents are hypertensive, all this stuff. So I check out all the boxes for the genetic piece of it. You have to be proactive because a lot of people, if it's not hurting me, if it's not bothering me, I'm not going to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what we need to do. We need to be proactive. Once we become adults, even a young adult, you need to know what your numbers were at the beginning, and then get them checked every year. That's
Exactly.
all it is to it. Because, like you said, it's silent. You don't understand that you didn't have some high blood pressure issue to all of a sudden you go to the bathroom, your urine is foaming, or you go out there and yes, you spilling over protein because your kidneys aren't doing what they're supposed to
Not
do
you make money. Right.
to get the protein, stop the protein from spilling over. There are a lot of things that your body lets you know. This man, I just keep having this nagging headache. I don't know where it's coming from. Sometimes your body gives you warnings, but you just, oh, I'm young. It's just scripts. You
Right.
have to be proactive in your healthcare at an early age.
Exactly. And
So,
when
so
you was talking about the numbers, and yeah, as my brother was saying, I'm always telling them, well, so what did the doctor say? What are the numbers? I mean, you need to be able to know what is normal for you. Everybody's norm is different. I mean, the baseline for everybody is going to be different, but you need to know what your baseline is. And it is important to know if they tell you that your numbers are good, are they good for what? Are they good because you are a black man and you weigh 250 pounds? Is that why they're saying your numbers are good? And so you need to know what your numbers are. And the other thing that I see all the time is you get this blood pressure medication and your headaches, they're gone. You don't have them anymore. Your blood pressure is fine. You don't feel tired or you don't have the blurred vision or whatever it is, signs and symptoms that you may have. That, and most of the black men, what do? They stop taking the medication. Oh,
That
I'm
part
fine.
right there.
I don't have it
Yep.
anymore. I mean, my head doesn't hurt anymore. I can see. I don't have any blurred vision. You stop taking the medication, but what you fail to realize is the reason you're not having these headaches or whatever the signs and symptoms that you are having is because you are taking
Taking the
medication. It's the
medicine.
maintenance that you are having to continue in order to have the healthy lifestyle on the back end. You have to continue to take the medications. You can't take it for 3 months and then say I'm okay. That's not how it works. It does not cure, like you don't cure it. It's not like that. You know you have, and that's what I see all the time. Well, I'm not taking it anymore. And you ask why? Well, I don't feel this. Or I don't feel tired. I don't have headaches anymore. I don't have blurred vision. But high blood pressure, it affects everything: heart, kidneys, vision. That, I mean, it takes everything. So you stop taking the medication, and then the next thing you know, you're having a heart attack. Why are you
so
having a heart attack? Why is your blood pressure so elevated? Well, I stopped taking the medication.
so with that, a lot of when we know better, we should do better. And you notice I said should.
Yeah,
Should.
Um,
exactly.
and you can either one of you all explain exactly what high blood pressure is, because there may be those out there that don't understand what high blood pressure is, what causes high blood pressure, besides the things that you eat and your ethnicity and things of that nature. Physically, what does high blood pressure do? Like, say for instance, one thing that I'm going to say is it causes your heart have to work harder when you have high blood pressure. So
Mhm.
that's me knowing from going to my doctors. But what are some other things that you all would say to explain high blood pressure to someone?
Okay. High blood pressure simply is the amount of force that your heart has to pump against to move blood forward. That is the top number. The bottom number is the amount of pressure that is on your heart when your heart is at rest. And both of them, people say one is bad, the other one's worse. Both of them are bad when they're elevated. A normal blood pressure should be 90 over 60 to 120 over 80. When you get to 140 over 90, you consider that's stage one or essential hypertension. What happens with hypertension? And I like to use a balloon analogy. A long balloon. You blow that balloon up, it has a certain shape in it. When your pressure gets to be so elevated, when you know what happens when you overblow a balloon, you get a little defect in there. That is the same thing that happens with your blood vessels when your heart, your blood pressure is too high. You're putting so much stress on those blood vessels, and you have blood vessels in your body that are the diameter of a hair.
Hmm.
When you start to blow those blood vessels up, you do not get oxygenated blood to the tissue that vessel supplies. When you do not get oxygenated blood to tissue, the tissue dies. Thus, it fails. That's
Yeah.
how kidney failure works. That's how you end up having a massive heart attack because you're not getting any oxygenated blood to the heart muscle and it does not function. Another bad thing about hypertension, when that top number is high, it is just like doing a whole bunch of curls. That heart muscle is going to get bigger. When that heart muscle gets bigger, the chambers in the heart get smaller, and you do not pump blood the way that you're supposed to. It ends up backing up, and then you go into a condition called heart failure. So, blood pressure, hypertension is absolutely probably one of the most manageable diseases that we have out there. But when you do not let it, um, you do not control it, you do irreparable damage to your vasculature. And I talked about the top number. The bottom number is just as bad because if that pressure is high, you don't get blood pumped to your heart muscle. It goes to it
Like,
passively. And so when that pressure is high, you don't get the blood vessel to your heart, the blood to your heart muscle. The heart muscle starts to die, and then you end up having a rest. So both of the numbers are bad. People say, "Well, my bottom numbers is no." Both of them you need to control.
So also some of the things that, as you know, you all was talking, like Sabrina was saying earlier, that one thing can cause you to have another thing. And that thing can cause you to have another thing. Um, so you know, they have a lot of commercials talking about LDL, HDL, have your cholesterol level lower. So if, let's say for instance, I think I know, but I want you all to voice it. If your cholesterol is high, and your vessels have, what is it inside? What
Plaque,
is cal? What is it?
plaque.
Plaque.
amplification, the plaque.
Yes, that will cause your heart to have to work harder as well to push the blood through those vessels, right?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Okay, so that is how the cholesterol can affect your heart disease and the heart attack and things like that.
And
Okay,
triglycerides. You
Yeah.
can't forget about
Exactly. Oh,
triglycerides either.
don't
Those
forget
are
that.
bad too.
I'm sorry, I can't speak that terminology, my
Like,
brother. You know, I just say, it's like this is your good cholesterol and your bad cholesterol,
Yes.
right?
exactly.
Okay, so there's some things that has happened in the past that make black men hesitant to want to go to the doctor. You know, um, how does cultural factors or mistrust of the healthcare system impact African American men seeking preventive care?
You want to go first, Sabrina? But I can definitely
Well, I
talk
drink
on
my
this one.
Well, I'm gonna let you talk on it, but you being the black man. But I will say I mean, the discrimination period and the lack of knowledge and the lack of the health care being provided to our black men is is the number one reason. That's number one. I mean, you're being because you're black, there's already that stigma against you. So definitely not having that, not being able to go to the doctor. And then for me, I always said that I wanted to see somebody that looked like me be able to tell me about me. So when you don't have that, that's another reason why you fail to go. If you don't see people that look like you don't want to do, or you don't want to go to that person because you feel that you're not going to be treated like you needed to be treated. You're not going to get the information that you need to be treated, and they're just going to come in there and they're going to say, "Oh, how you doing, sir? Oh, I'm doing fine. You having any issues?" You say no, and then they walk out. That's not a doctor's visit, but that happens all the time.
And I will agree with her wholeheartedly. And I'm going to piggyback on something that's a little bit more that goes back into history, and that is fear. When you start to go, when first thing that people talk about when they us being experimented on, and they go back to the Tuskegee experiment.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, black men, black people, period, are skeptical, but black men are absolutely more apt not to go to the doctor because of just mistrust.
Yeah.
Um, Also, the word of mouth in the street. Man, I went to the doctor, and man, he ain't tell me nothing. Or I went to the doctor, and he did this and that and the other. And so and it's just human nature. I don't think it's just black males. I think it's human nature. We're more apt to believe the bad than we are to believe the good. Uh, and she's right. One of the other things is access, but still, yeah, there's always an access problem, and most black people want to go to people that look like themselves. All my doctors have been male. They've all been black. My primary care doctors, they've always and they've always been younger than me. I don't want to go and see some 70-year-old doctor that's out there prescribing medications that he was prescribing when he was a resident or something of that nature. I want the younger doctors that are more in tune to do uh, prescribe the thing. I've always had male doctors because, no offense, every time I've gone to a female doctor and there's time to do a male exam or something, it's always deferred or they don't want to do it. And that's a part too. Women go to see male gynecologists, they don't think anything about it. But sometimes the female providers don't do the same that they do with us. That's not neither here nor there. I can only speak on my my experience. But I think one of the biggest challenges is just the mistrust of um, of going to doctors. Another thing, and y'all gonna probably find this strange. I've had some people say I don't want to go to the doctor because they might find something.
That was
Bad
what I was
news.
going to say
That,
too. The fear of hearing
yeah,
what they're going to say because if you go,
yeah.
I'd
Yeah, and
rather
so
know.
and
That's
I have to go there, and then I'm gonna have to miss work, and that's another thing. I don't want to miss work to have to go to the doctor, or they're gonna make me go and have these tests done. I'm gonna have to miss work. So it's always the fear of not being able to provide, the not doing this and that and another keeps us away from going to the doctor as we should.
and that is something that you spoke on it. I was going to wait to see if you was going to talk about it. Sabrina said earlier, lack of insurance, and then you hit that nail on the head when you was like receiving bad news. No one really 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 wants to go to the doctor and get bad news, but you said something once before about going to the doctor and the doctor finding something, right?
Mhm.
Well, that's the purpose. That's the purpose of going to the doctor because we can't sit up here. We can sit up here and feel, oh, I have a headache, but there may be a reason why you're having that headache. That is beyond your control, and going to get tested can identify and show that the reason of their headache. So, with that being said, what are some practical ways families and the communities can encourage Black men to prioritize regular checkups? Because see, it's like you said, word on the street is, they're saying this, they're saying that. But what are some of the ways our community, as I stated earlier, we know better, we should do better.
Well, one thing that I do, and my fraternity brothers probably get tired of hearing me saying that, we have to normalize preventive care. We have to go and have physicals. We have to go and have blood pressure checks, cholesterol screenings, age appropriate cancer screenings. And for black males, it's not 40. I would say you need to start doing it in your 30s. I mean, I'm just being completely real because that's cancer just runs rampant in our community because one, there are two ways to do. Well, the PSA is now the gold standard, but most men, I'm not gonna go in there and let that man be playing up in my butt and all this other kind of stuff. It's not playing in your butt as an exam.
That's an exam, exactly.
Just an exam. So we got to
And
get out of that stereotype or that stigma that if that's just you. If he has to do that, I'm not gonna go. They do PSAs, but I'm telling you, the digital rectal exam is just as important as the other one because sometimes the PSA will tell you, yeah, if you're likely to have cancer, but that digital one tells you if your prostate is enlarged.
Right.
something of that nature. So both of them um, are important. Lead by example. I can't go tell these men to go to the doctor, and I don't go myself.
Exactly.
It's just, I mean, that's just absolutely ludicrous. Do as I do, not do as I say. So I'm not going to tell these men to do anything if I'm not doing it. And one of the main things when I found out my cancer diagnosis last year, only thing I can think about was my family. I just wanted to do whatever I possibly could do to make to be here for my family to continue to provide and stuff of that nature. So, you have to start looking at some priority things that are important to you that you want to make sure that you're here for, so your family can still have the benefit of you being here. And just get rid of some of the misinformation. Yes, Tuskegee happened. It's never gonna go away, this and that and the other. But we have to start trusting healthcare and doing the things that we need to do so we can be here, so we can be beacons for our family. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna let you talk, Sabrina. You may have some things that you want to say as well.
Um, what is it that that we can do? I mean, like I'm sure that there is a medical person in every family. I mean, I'm sure there is. I mean, in my family now, it keeps expanding. I have two nieces now that are nurses, and it just keeps growing. So there is somebody that that is in healthcare, and you can ask them a question and start there. And I think there should be more clinics. I mean, I can remember a time when they had blood pressure clinics or they had diabetes clinics, and with some of the fraternities and sororities, hosting these, and you're getting people to come in if you're in the right vicinity, and you can get people to come in, and you can check their blood pressures and check their blood sugars. And let them know, hey, this is your blood sugar right here. You need to go and have this checked. You need to see a primary care doctor, or if your blood pressure is elevated, you need to start monitoring it, and you need to go. Different clinics, churches can have them. And preventive. You have to start first being preventive, proactive inside of it. And, you know, I think that is something that we can do. Um, when you were in the barbershop, you could talk to while you're in there talking about the football game or basketball. You can have a conversation while you're in that barbershop about, hey, I went to the doctor and these are some things that they told me, brother man. You might need to do that. We as women, I'm always talking to my sisters about going and being examined and being checked because you need that. So, just different ways, different times when you're sitting among your brothers, being able to give them information that you have had, share that information. So, if you're able to share an experience that you have had, they may be having that same experience, but they're too shame or too pride to talk to you about it or to express it. But if you tell one person, then that one person may go and be checked out, and it may be what saves his life.
Excellent.
So I know you all mentioned um, about earlier. You was talking about going. People are the myths. You can't hear Don.
I can hear you fine.
Yeah, I can't.
I can't hear
No,
him.
I can't. I don't hear you saying anything, Don.
Can you hear us, Don? But we can't hear you.
Are you saying something? Okay. I'm horrible at reading
Okay.
lips, so
He can talk.
Yeah. Me too. So, what are some of the health myths do you find are most damaging, and what can we do as a community to correct them?
Oh wow.
uh, you said health myth.
Myth, yeah, like a myth, like a health myth. Like what if you know what a myth
Yeah, I know
is?
exactly what a myth is. I'm trying to think of what is the one of the top health myths that's out there. Doctors that they just want to take your money. They ain't gonna do this. That's one huge one right there that they come up with. Um, like I told you the other, if I go there, they're gonna find something wrong, which I think is just absolutely incredibly crazy. Um, that they're gonna put me on this medicine, it's not gonna work. All this other stuff. So it's just all of that stuff right there, but they're not gonna do anything for me. I mean, it's just you just hear all of the negative stuff because people focus on the negative experiences. So those are some of the things that I deal with. If I get on this medication, it's going to cause this. If I get on this medication, these side effects are going to happen. Side effects are just put on there because a certain population experienced these things while I was on it. And I could share a absolute personal one with one of my family members. I have a brother that that was not taking his medicines as he was because of the side effects, and now I bet he wish he would have. So you just have to you can't medicine yourself from side effects, because if just because it's a side effect doesn't mean it's going to happen to you.
Well,
So that's
one thing that I hear in the clinics that I right now presently working in the heart and vascular clinic. One thing that I hear all the time, I've always heard it. I mean, daddy, my uncles, cousins, one of the biggest myths and the reason why they will not go and get blood pressure medicine is because they will lose their manhood. They won't be able to perform sexually.
mhm.
That's the big thing. And no man is going to go and take a medication if they can't be that man. They can't be strong. They can't be macho. If that's going to cause anything to defer their sex drive, then that's just no. I'm not going to do it. That's just a no.
Mhm.
And that myth is something that has been stressed in the black men community forever.
But
You don't want to. That's going to show weakness. You
Yep,
don't want to do
I
this.
just about to
You know,
say
you
that
don't.
weakness.
Yeah, going to the doctor. If this is going to show weakness, I'm not as strong. I'm not the big, strong black man. But we can go down that rabbit hole, and that is a whole different topic to talk about the mental health. Even though the mental health, your mental health is going to affect your physical health,
Yes.
and vice versa. But that mental health issue, I can attest to that, and that's going to be a future podcast that I'm going to talk about African American men and what we're taught. We're taught not to cry, not to show emotions, and things of that nature, which is really hurting us because it's building all that stress and things inside. See, were you going to say
No, no,
something?
I was agreeing. The masculinity thing. I think you 100.
Yeah.
You go to the doctor, you're weak. I mean, that is just some of the most ridiculous foolishness I think I've ever heard for in my life.
oh my God,
But
yeah,
but they believe it.
yeah, they do. There's
People
something
act,
to
so
stop
they
that.
believe it.
Somebody has to stop that. It has to stop somewhere, and it has to start somewhere in order for it to stop.
So how can we as a community, I understand you have to crawl, walk, run, which is an analogy that we learned in the military. You at least have to. The question is that I'm asking is how, as a community, can we get this information out? Because, like, say for instance, like this podcast is not for me. It's to educate our African American brothers, our brothers and sisters on the difficulties of that black men have. And one thing about it, our sisters need to understand, because they're going to be that support. If I'm going through some issues and my significant other has no idea and does not support me, that's going to be a problem.
Exactly.
So we have to have that communication. You have to have someone you can talk to about it. But our community is struggling because our community is not. This is not a topic that is in the forefront for our community. We can sit there like I almost call you Michelle, Sabrina. When We go to the barbershop. We can sit in there. We can talk about the game that Sabrina stated. We can talk about, LeBron went for 30 and 10, or you saw that touchdown pass that such and such threw, whole night. We can talk about that. But these thought-provoking conversations about black men taking care of our bodies is not being talked about. And instead, people will try to shame you. I'm going to go to a weight thing. People will try to shame you because you have gained weight. No one is the same that they were when they graduated high school.
No.
So, well, I think my baby brother is. But anyway, those are the things that, black, we don't want to be shamed. But our brothers will shame us because we've gained weight, because we're this, because we're that. And that makes us hesitant, to want to go to doctors and things of that nature. Like your lifestyle. Your lifestyle can play a big role in your health. From your experience, what role does diet and lifestyle play in closing the health disparity gap? And how can we shift habits?
But before we go there, I want to loop back to the question that you had about getting information out. You did make some valid points, but a couple of other things that we African Americans are religious. So one thing that they can do is have these kind of talks in church settings, stuff of that nature. We do it big time at 670. They have this whole health fair and stuff of that nature. And believe it or not, people from the church and people from the communities go there. I think you hit the nail on the head about the barbershops and stuff of that nature. And what we're doing, like what you're doing, bruh, social media. Social media is by far one of the most powerful tools that's out there because it reaches people that you don't know. They don't have to come on camera to listen at you. They can just look at us, find us, and engage that way, stuff of that nature. And what our organizations are doing, that's one of our mandated programs, health initiatives. So we need to make sure that we have effective speakers to go out there and talk to people so they can get the information and get what they need to be better stewards of their health. I'm sorry, I just wanted to get that in there before you went to your next topic. So go ahead, brother moderator.
No, no problem, my brother. So did you all get that question? Want me to repeat?
Please repeat it.
All right, from your experience, what role does diet and lifestyle play in closing the health disparity gap? And how can we shift our habits? And before you all answer that question, Sabrina, we was born and raised. Thanksgiving, we're going to have some collard greens, potato salad, mac and cheese. We're going to have dressing. We may have some fried chicken now. And, a lot of when I was growing up, mama, we had a ham hock in the collard greens. At least now some people are trying to put turkey necks or whatever you may use in your collard greens, to try to be healthier. But what are some of the habits that you all would suggest that we as Black people can do to change those habits?
But definitely diet. The collard greens may not taste the way they taste when your grandmother cooked them, but you need to be focusing on a healthier way of preparing that. We need to do a more healthier way of preparing the food. And the number one thing that we need to eliminate as much as possible is salt. That is grandiose.
Drinks
always
and
says
this sodium. Yes.
kryptonite for Black men. There's other type of seasoning we need to use, and we need to try to incorporate that. There's different ways to prepare a Thanksgiving meal without having all of the fried foods and the foods with that's going to increase the cholesterol. There's different ways to do it, and we just have to venture out and start trying to um, try different things. You try different things that you like in order as well as diet. The other thing is we need to move. 30 minutes, 5 to 6 days a week, you need to be moving. You need to be exercising to build that cardio. That's something that we need to be doing. We don't do it, but we need to be doing. We need to be incorporating more water into our body. I mean, because we need that water. We don't drink. I mean, I'm guilty of that, not drinking it as much as I should. But that these are little small things that we could do that would be beneficial.
Agree 100%.
Sort of.
And also moderation.
Oh yes,
I think
Marty.
that's one of the things that get us in trouble. Like, we were taught when we were young, you eat everything on your plate.
Oh,
It was not
sir.
even a discussion. You go put it on there. Food costs too much. You out here throwing this stuff away. So what do? You eat. It's mostly carbs, and then what you gonna do after you eat all them carbs? Go
Go to bed.
go somewhere and sit down,
Yeah.
and then next thing you know, you're not gonna get up and move, and over time you gain 100 pounds in a year. I'm speaking about me, and sleep apnea, of course, but still, all those different things, you have to be able to do things in moderation. That
Mm-hmm.
is by far the biggest thing as well too. A lot of people fail at weight loss and stuff because they go and they make these stringent diets and stuff that nature that they know they can't keep. So the first month they may lose 10, 15 pounds. After they got tired of doing all that stuff, next thing you know, it slowly comes back. So you got to adapt. It can't be I'm going to lose weight. You have to turn it into a lifestyle. I start and I stop. I start and I stop. When I get my mind on it, I'm 100% committed to it and it comes off. But the minute I get distracted or something happens, I had a huge life event that happened and I'm trying to get myself back to where I was. But you have to be committed to making a lifestyle change and watch what you eat, be a label reader, stuff and all that stuff, because the information is out there. And like she said, salt is absolutely, wherever you have a whole lot of salt, you're going to have a whole lot of water. Wherever you have a whole lot of water in your bloodstream, your heart is going to have to work harder to try to get rid of it, and it's going to tax your kidneys. So all that stuff is a vicious cycle, but you can break it, but you just have to be diligent to do
And and with that, right, it made me think of the diets and things of that nature. The society or where you fall in your when it comes to your financial status, your economic status, that is going to affect the food that you
it.
eat.
Absolutely.
When you are on the low end of the income scale and you have 3 kids to feed and you have $20 or $15, McDonald's 2 cheeseburgers for $3 and fries and a Coke, that's going to feed your kids.
Yep.
You go to Popeyes and get a 4-piece whatever, that's going to feed your kids. And all of those, my daughter is very big on that. She's like, Dad, we don't need to eat this because of this. You should not eat this because of this. And so with that, a lot of times, the where we fall economically affect what we're eating. So that goes all the way back to when we are kids are young, because hey, they don't have anything else to eat. And then, when someone is taught that becomes the norm. And then when they get of age, okay, something quick and easy. Let's go to McDonald's, let's go to Burger King and things of that nature. So how do you all, for those people that can afford to eat healthy, because it's expensive to eat healthy, what are some of the ways that could be circumvented, to help or identify, explain the problems with eating fast food all the time? What can we do? I know one thing is to get out in the community. I got that, but sometimes you can take a camel or whatever to the water, but you can't make them drink. So you can talk about it, try to educate and talk about it, but the bottom line is, if that person wants to change their lifestyle to live healthier, if they want to do this and want to do that, then they will. So, but what do you all think about that exactly?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head, bro. I mean, you can want to do a whole lot of different things, but if you don't have the finances to do it, brother, it is, and not unless you go to um, food pantries and stuff of that nature. And sometimes food pantries don't have all of they have what people bring and stuff of that nature, bro. But I guess in the greater scheme of things, if you have to do McDonald's, if you have to do all those things. Substitute out the drink, give them water, and then make them move. That's about the best thing that I could possibly tell you when you're dealing with money situations. Because like you said, $10 is not going. It ain't gonna buy you no meal. You might be able to go buy some canned stuff, but just think about it. When you go out and buy canned foods and stuff, they have so many preservatives in it, and the number one
Process.
preservative in there is salt. So you because salt is a preservative.
Yeah.
Not only does it give it taste, it keeps it. So you're kind of in the proverbial catch 22 when you want to do well when you don't have the resources to do it. So my thing is for these families that and let me make sure that aren't getting assistance like EBT or something of that nature as well. Or if they're getting EBT and they're not getting a whole lot of things, I guess to try to find the healthiest thing that you possibly can that you can stretch. Salads, they can go from days to days, stuff of that nature. I think that's the only way that you can do it because money drives everything. If you ain't got no money, you're just not going to get nutritious meals and stuff that nature, bro. So I guess the alternative is if you're going to have to eat it, then you need to go out there and be more active to burn it up. That's the
And
only thing I can think of, bro.
and that's something, like Don's put in the chat. He also, when Sabrina was talking about sodium and what we drink, also, now there are um, the menus have changed, so they do have healthier items. And a while back when D President Obama was in office, his wife was trying to change the menus in schools and things of that nature. And that goes back to what I was saying. We have to teach our kids, that this is not healthy, not to eat this. But it's like you said, it's a catch 22 because when I have to feed my kids, I'm sorry, my kids are not going to go hungry. If I have to go to McDonald's and get me a two for three cheeseburgers, then I'm going to go get me 2 for 3 cheeseburgers. So my kids can eat. So we talked about the life expectancy. I think I mentioned it earlier in my opening that the average life expectancy for men in the United States is approximately 76.5 years. Historically, the life expectancy for Black men has been around 70 years, several years below the national male average. When we talk about that gap, what are some of the major factors contributing to it?
Stress,
I
uncontrolled
some,
diabetes, hypertension, the silent killers. Those are by far probably the things that
but
that absolutely impact us as far as um, not going to the doctor. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest things that not doing the maintenance that you need to do to to um, to keep to extend your life. There is multifactorial, but I guarantee you probably one of the biggest ones: stress, hypertension, diabetes, and all of the diseases or the conditions that happen because you don't control your blood pressure or you don't control your blood sugar. Those are just that's just it. And and the one thing that, as Sabrina said earlier, that you cannot modify are your genetics. That's just unfortunate. That's what genetics. On
Yeah.
my mother's side, is cancer. All types of cancer. You name it, it's on my colon, pancreatic, um, small cell, prostate, thyroid. All of it is in your genes. And I did a genetic test, and guess what? I came back positive, showing that I am predisposed to cancer. So, what do you think the first thing I went and did? told my kids we need to go and have some genetic counseling done
You
to
know,
make sure that
So
they need to do what they need to do so prostate cancer won't sneak up on them like it did me.
see, you mentioned that about the genetic testing, and definitely on both sides of our family, there's the diabetes and the high blood pressure, and there's heart disease. CAD is rampant on my daddy's side of the family, and on my mom's side, there's a cancer and the high blood pressure as well. So, um, that's like I was saying. If you know that this is part of what your mama or grandmother or great grandmama had, definitely going and having having a test done to see where you are. That genetic testing is important. You already know that it's in your family. You're black, your age, uh, it's hereditary, so you already know that those are three strikes right there. So you definitely need to go and have the genetic testing so you can know where you are, where you stand, and start there.
Hmm. 100%.
Ask questions. I mean, I remember telling my brothers what to ask the doctors.
Absolutely. And
and one thing I know when I was in the military, we had to get tests and things of those nature. But I had a train of thought, Sabrina. You said something, and I was gonna come back with a question, but I lost my train of thought. But if it come back to me, then I ask that question. We was talking about heart disease earlier, um, and I did mention about the 56.8% of black men um, over 20 having high blood pressure. Stress.
Mm.
We all are stressed, from our jobs, from our relationships to life in general,
Honey,
finances, money, and so could you explain how stress negatively affects your blood pressure and things of that nature?
sure, stress, when you're stressed, your body goes into what they call fight or flight. Whenever you're fearful, your body releases a hormone, a chemical called epinephrine. What epinephrine does, it constricts your blood vessels so your heart pumps more efficiently if you need to fight or if you need to run. But like I said earlier, when you constrict your blood vessels and your heart is pumping, your blood pressure is going to absolutely elevate. So the problem about that is the longer you stay stressed, the more your blood pressure is going to stay elevated. Now, in the ideal world, when the stimulus is away from you, it should go down. But you tell me how many times you're not worrying about your bills, you're not worrying about your family, you're not worrying about this and that and the other, and your stress level stays high, your blood pressure stays high, and the higher that blood pressure stays over an extended amount of time does the damage to the organs that you have. So I think it's a oxymoron to say stay stress free because I just don't think that is possible. And especially you got a high stress job, medical people high stress job, police definitely high stress. All these other things that go out there, you got budgets, you have people that's up under you, they want to get paid, all this other kind of. So depending on what your job is, your stress level gon' be here, but you got to find ways to decompress to get that stress level back down. So but if your stress level, if your perfect example, if you know you're stressed and you go to the doctor and they say your blood pressure is elevated, you need to start doing take some stuff to get your blood pressure not to be so elevated. Now, trust me, stress goes and it comes back down. But sometimes after over time, that stress stays up that way. You got to find things to try to bring that pressure back down, which and you get rid of the stimulus, or get on whatever drugs you need to try to get that blood pressure down. But definitely, it is a fight or flight mechanism that causes those blood vessels to constrict for you to be for your heart to work optimally. But the thing about it is, you're working against a higher pressure, and it causes all those problems.
Well, yeah, then the stress is going to affect everything. If you have, it's going to affect the cancer. It's going to affect the diabetes. I mean, it's going to affect your overall makeup of your body. It's, as you said, it's that fight. The body knows that it is not compensating the way it should. So it's going to fight best to do that. It's going to try. So it's going to work harder. That means your blood pressure is going to be elevated. That means your heart rate is going to be elevated. Your blood sugar may be elevated. So those things are going to be elevated because of that fight or flight.
And as I stated earlier, everyone that's going to be discussed on one of my upcoming podcasts. And I'm talking about men and mental health. Everyone has some form of PTSD, regardless of what you do. You have some form of PTSD, and like I said, I know this may not be well. It coincides together because it's connected. As I stated, your mental health affects your physical health, and vice versa. What are some of the things that you could do to help lessen that stress? I understand, like you said, the job gonna be there, your finances gonna be there, but what are some other ways or things that you can find to lessen that stress? Because, like I said, it's gonna be there, but what can you do to release some of it so it won't be as much?
One thing with me is finding somebody that you can trust to talk to, somebody you can go and decompress to that you're comfortable with. A lot of times we, especially black men, we don't talk. Period, point blank, in the store. I don't want to be weak. I don't want people in my business. I don't want this and that and the other. And we steadily have these issues that we don't talk about, and it steadily eats us up on the inside. You end up having these strained interpersonal relationships with people because you have no outlet to nobody to decompress to. That is 100% one of the things. And then sometimes our stress level is up because we don't delegate things to other people. We have this: if I can't do it, it's not going to be done.
Right.
And next thing you know, your plate is overflowing, 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 and you can't catch up. And so those two things right there, I know because I deal with it. I am the burden carrier around here. I try to make sure everybody needs what they need, and God knows I don't have the things that I need. So those things are, if you can modify those two things, I think that'd be something that you can do to help at least tamp down your stress.
A very close friend of mine, I really want him. I just asked him to come on. He sent me a message on Facebook, and he was a combat medic in the Army. So he has seen a lot of things when it comes, especially this topic about stress. But also, he said something that my daughter Angelina has said as well, talking about being healthy and the food. We were talking about this topic earlier, the food that we eat. These businesses don't care about how the food is not healthy. He mentioned something about, I'm still in this thunder. He mentioned something about on Shark Tank when Mark Cuban made a statement, and he said something to the point that he will not be involved in business that require customer education on why they need the product or service company needed, because people in mass don't want to be told what to do. That's something that my daughter Angelina had mentioned as well, talking about the food that we eat. fast food that people eat and things of that nature, the companies know that it's Sabrina, your camera is saying, okay, know that it's not good, but all they worry about is bottom line. So they really don't care. Um, and Don said something when we was talking about lifestyles and things of that nature. Working out, it takes, hey, see, you said it. I'm the same way. At one time, I was all about working out. I loved it. I was a gym rat. And then, you hit a skid and you like, man, I'm not working out. I don't feel like it.
Hmm.
You sit there and you have a pity party. Woe is me. And then, like you say, I've heard people say you miss when it comes to working out. If you miss church one Sunday, then watch out because you probably gonna miss it the next Sunday, and then you're gonna probably miss it the next Sunday, and then it's gonna become a trend, just like everything else. So that's one thing that you education, talking about the food that we eat, nutrition, sleep. Sleep affects your physical body
Absolutely.
as well. It helps with stress. When you're talking about preventing chronic disease, for instance, how important, as a matter of fact, let's answer that question. How important? I know you all have hit on it, here and there, but how important is nutrition, physical activity, sleep, and stress management when we talk about preventive chronic disease?
What?
I know, like I said, we've hit it off and on, but
Well,
how? Go ahead, say it. I'm sorry.
I think we kind of went on with some, but it's one that we have definitely not talked about is sleep. A lot of
Mm.
us, especially men our size, if we snore, if and
Sleep.
all of a sudden we stop snoring for a certain little amount of time, and then you have to catch your breath, that is a serious condition
Yeah.
that you have called sleep apnea. And I'm gonna tell you my sleep apnea. So I've been on CPAP for over 30 years. And I didn't realize how the lack of sleep was literally killing me. Back in '93, I fell asleep downstairs at my job. I was snoring so loud they could hear me outside. And I worked for some pulmonologists. The one of the nurses like, my God, who the hell is that snoring? Like, so it was me. So she came out there and she tried to wake me up, and I wouldn't wake up. Uh, then I had a pause. The pause was over 40 seconds. By
Wow.
this time, she's panicking, trying to wake me up, and I woke up like I was drunk. She marched me upstairs to go have a sleep study. They gave me a sleep study that night. When I was on the table, I couldn't stay awake. They put the electrodes on my head, this and that. But when I went to sleep, I immediately closed my eyes and went into REM. They already knew that was going to be bad. Next thing you know, I wake up, the emergency lights are on, somebody's bagging me, all this other kind of stuff to try to get my sats up because my sats dropped down into the 60s. I have been snoring
Mm.
like that. Now, I was in my mid 20s. I have been snoring like that for at least 14 years as a single digit child. So, what kind of damage you think I was doing to my body as I was not breathing? And the doctor told me one thing, and I'll never forget it. He said, when you go to sleep, your body recharges. Just think about it. Every 5-10 minutes, you're waking up to catch your breath. So you're
Never.
never comfortable. So
Mm-mm.
what happens when your body feels like it needs some energy? When you're awake, you're going to eat. You're going to eat. You're going to eat. You're going to eat. Then you're going to be so tired that you're not going to want to exercise. And there's your weight gain right there. So a lot of people that have sleep apnea over the years, they've gained a whole lot of weight because they're trying to eat to compensate for their body's lack of energy. So sleep is absolutely important. And if you have not, if somebody told you that you snored and stopped snoring, you need to run and have a sleep study done because you don't understand lack of sleep and lack of getting oxygen to your tissue can kill you. It 100% can do it. So sleep is absolutely quality sleep, not just sleep, but quality sleep is what you need to have to do it. And don't be ashamed because millions of Americans are now on CPAPs. Now, no CPAP machines have gotten so small that they have absolutely saved your life. So I'm big on that right there. I can talk to you about sleep apnea and cancer all and high blood pressure all day long because I live with those things. But you 100% have to make sure that you find some way to get some quality sleep. And I'll let Sabrina talk because I'll talk all day.
Definitely that is so important because you're sleeping, so you're gonna wake up and you're gonna be tired, and like I said, you're gonna try to do everything you can to compensate for the energy that you don't have, and then that causes other issues. You're going to be working on a job, and you're going to be sleeping, you're going to be driving. So definitely, it's important. Most people, well, I can get up and I need a 5 hours of sleep. Well, okay, that 5 hours of sleep is definitely not good. And it's possible.
Sabrina, I was having issues with your audio. Well, we heard you, but it was like coming in like choppy sometimes. A lot of people don't know. Like, say you mentioned, we talking about sleep apnea now. For everyone out there, it's this famous football player who died from sleep
Reggie White.
apnea, and he died from sleep apnea because he never went to take care of it.
Mm.
And he also had another underlying condition as well too, with his lungs as
Yeah,
well too. So,
yeah.
yep.
But it's like you said, it's like the circle of life. The circle of life is if you have one thing wrong with you, eventually that could cause something else to be wrong. And then those two items can cause something else to be wrong. And it's like a vicious circle that if you do not take care of yourself physically, you can have serious consequences. And like I say, I've said this a couple of times, and I'm going to say it again. Your mental health affects your physical health, and vice versa. And you have to understand that. But as we said earlier, we know better.
We do better.
We should do better.
Mm-hmm.
Should do better. And that's that key word, should. Because regardless of what, we can sit up here and we can try to educate and we can talk about it to inform people, to keep people informed, but they have to be willing to make that change. So Sid, I know this next topic, you're gonna have a lot to say. So with that being said, I'm gonna ask that we allow Sabrina to go first and then allow you to talk. Because I know you got a lot to say.
Okay.
Cancer and prostate cancer.
Mm.
We all know that cancer is the second leading cause of death among Black men. But prostate cancer presents an especially serious concern for Black men. Why is that so? Another statistics, Black men are probably 70% more likely to develop prostate cancer than white men. I would also want to ask the question, why is that so?
Other than, I think, is it still topic?
Yes, a little, yeah. But go ahead. I think we can hear you good enough.
Yeah,
What you
I
think,
hear
Sid?
fine.
Okay, go ahead. That it may just be me.
I think with that, it goes back to being in test. Going and after you become a certain age, I mean, age is very, very important because you're not going to be 20 all the time if you live. So as you age, there are certain preventive things that you have to go and have done. Colonoscopies, have your prostate checked. These are things that you have to have done as you age. So I think the stigma behind not wanting to go to the doctor to have these tests done is one big reason. Diet and exercise is another reason. I mean, diet, exercise, genetics, it plays a role in every health condition we have almost. I mean, almost everything is related to your genes. It just is. So, and so, like I was saying before, I mean, if you already know that, so definitely being able to go have these records, have these records checkups, have these physicals done. When they tell you that you need to come back, there's a reason they're telling you that you need to come back. You need to go back. I mean, every 5, 10 years, if they tell you that you need to have a colonoscopy, you need to go and have the colonoscopy. You need to go because something that happened within that time frame. There's a reason that, they want to monitor that. And so I definitely just staying consistent and go. My thing is, I always say, if you're consistent enough to want to go shopping, you should be consistent enough to want to go to the shop.
So with that being said, I can speak for myself to give an example. When and seeing you and I showed these to you when we was at our retreat, when we was talking about PSAs and your labs and things of that nature. That's one thing that I can say for me. My sister and my daughter and my wife are very adamant about my labs, me exercising and doing things to try to stay active to help live longer, because as Sabrina stated, everything is in our family. High blood pressure, diabetes, everything. So can you see it? I'm gonna give the floor to you for you to go ahead and answer the question. But before we go into that, that's the facade of a colonoscopy. How when what's the difference in that and having a PSA done?
A colonoscopy and a PSA?
Yeah, what are those? What's the difference?
Well, a colonoscopy is a camera that they use to go in and look into your large intestine.
Okay.
That is about your colon, and a PSA is prosthetic specific antigen, which is it looks at the protein levels from your prostate. They are two entirely different
Okay.
tests for two entirely different things.
But both, so can you explain, I know you just explained it, what they are, but what is, and Sabrina, you covered the importance of getting that colon, what is that thing again?
Colonoscopy.
Okay. That is when, as Sia said, it goes through your large intestine. Through what?
It goes through your anus.
Okay. So that's the one that a lot of men are so hesitant to want to do, because did we hit on that? You hit on that a couple minutes ago, right?
Bro, no. I talked about the prostate exam. Now you wide awake, and it's just a little discomfort about the digital, and it's called a digital rectal exam. Digital because they're talking about a finger.
Right.
Rectal because they're going through your rectum to feel your prostate. Your prostate is maybe a couple of centimeters. Soon as you go into your go past that second sphincter, and you can feel it there. That is what they do when they do a digital rectal exam. A colonoscope, when people spaz out about having a colonoscopy, is absolutely something I will never understand, because the worst part of the colonoscopy is the prep. The minute you go in there, they're going to put that IV in you, and you're going to take what they call a twilight nap. You're going to be conscious enough for if they tell you to turn over or to bend your legs or something of that nature, that's all you're going to experience. When they take the scope out and all that stuff, you wake up in recovery. You don't even know
What
that
happened?
you had the colonoscopy. So it's just that whole stigma. If you let's go and call it what it is. Anytime that somebody does something around a male's backside, it's gay. I don't know. That's just gay to me, man. I don't want nobody else playing around in my. But I wouldn't say but if I wasn't being broadcast. And it's the stupidest thing that I think I've ever. It's an exam. Women go, they get they see the gynecologists. They get all kind of stuff stuck up in there. They go and have a mammogram. They get their boobs smashed and all of that. And guess what? They be looking. It's time for my annual. They go and have their annual like it's nothing. We go out there and have to have one finger for in there for 10, 15 seconds. You have bowel movements that hurt more than that finger. I'm just keeping it all the way 100. You
Mhm.
should have both of them done, but a lot of doctors aren't even doing the digital rectal anymore. They're more so just doing a PSA and going down the pipe. But the whole colonoscopy thing, I think, is absolutely ridiculous because you don't even feel anything. They come in, they count you down, and next thing you know, you're waking up in recovery.
you know, that goes back to that's one of those myths that we was talking about. We was talking about earlier. Um, with that, said, I know I said I wanted you to go after Sabrina talking about prostate cancer because I know you can articulate because that's something you have gone through for yourself
Hmm.
and talk about what are some signs that people who are not nurses or don't have that background to say something is not right. You know what I'm saying? Because
Absolutely.
for me, I'm not a nurse, or let's say one of our frat brothers, they're not a nurse, but something is they notice something that's different. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And for you, like for instance, you and I talk. If you don't mind me sharing, you and
Sure.
I talk, and you notice something different, and being a nurse, you automatically thought that it was one thing and had that looked into. But for someone who is not a nurse, what are some of the symptoms that they need to be aware of if all of a sudden they start to notice things?
Yeah. Hallmark signs and symptoms that your prostate is in you got some kind of problem with your prostate is you look at your urinary flow. If you're knocking the bark off trees and now all of a sudden your stream you wetting up the toilet seat or your stream is really weak or you have to push to get your stream started or when you think that you're done and you're
Mhm.
still going, those are all signs and symptoms that you may have something going on with your prostate. Now, with with that being said, when you start, or you have some blood in your semen, or your ejaculations are painful, though, or discomforting, those are all telltale signs of what that you may have some problems with your prostate. Because a lot of people don't understand what your prostate does. Your prostate has multiple functions. One of them it creates most of the fluid for semen. Then during ejaculation, that's the tool for ejaculation as well too, and it also stops you from just urinating all over yourself. So it's multifunctional, uh, and so when you start to notice functions problems with those things right there, those should be hallmark signs that you may have something going on with it. But one of the most important things, and I'm gonna share this because I'm a that type person that wants to know how did I get here? Because if anybody knows me, I am that person to tell you to go to the doctor. I do not miss doctor's appointments at all, except one time. Back in 2020, we started to have a string of deaths. I mean, it was just And I always have my annual in February. So let's go back to last year. I go to see my doctor, not last year, maybe in 24. I go see my doctor. I walk up in there, and my doctor black, and he keeps it all the way 100. Well, I'm glad you decided to come and see me. You hadn't been here in 20 months. I said, man, ain't no way in the world I ain't been no doctor in no 20 months. He flipped that screen around. This is the last time that you were here. And so I looked at him, and I'm dumbfounded because I don't miss doctor's appointment. So he said, well, we're gonna have to work you up like you're a brand new patient. So during that time, my PSA was like point 0.8, point 0.9. I go this time, my PSA is 2.8. So I'm a little leery, but he said, well, you hadn't been here in 20 months. That might just be the trend that it was. So I go back 3 months later, it goes back to 2.6. I said, okay. And then he felt my prostate. He said my prostate was enlarged. It may be prostatitis. All those other kind of things are all the things that can elevate your blood, your PSA. If you had sex recently, all those things could elevate it. I go back for my annual. They do my PSA. It's 7. The rule is the PSA number is from 0 to 4. If that number doubles within a year's time, you need to go see a urologist. Well, my number almost tripled. So of course, all the red flags going, get me to go see a urologist. From that time in February to March, my PSA went from 7 to 10. So by that time, I get the prosthetic MRI done, and I'm sitting in there because I'm a nurse practitioner. I'm a nose. I went into the portal and I saw that it was resulted, and it said I had 2 tumors that occupied the whole prostate, and it started to go into and it may have some bladder involvement. So next thing you know, I go through all that gamut. I have the biopsy done. All 12 are positive. Gleason scores are 7, 8s, and so I'm really concerned about that. And then I had the PET scan done, and it showed that I had advanced prostate cancer, stage 4, and it was from my chest all the way down to my groin. So when they told me that, I think my wife had been the strongest person at all, but when I told her I was stage 4, she lost it. And so we go and see the doctor, and she looked at me and she said, Mr. Langford, your cancer is incurable. It's inoperable, but it is treatable. And I went through the whole gamut, got the radiation, all of the drugs, and all that stuff. And a year later, I'm still here. And my PSA is undetectable, and I'm doing well physically. Now, the mental part, because I have so many friends, or few friends, that were just like me, and a couple of years later, it came back. And so that's always something that's in a cancer survivor's mind, is that it may slip back up there. But I have excellent cancer team at UAB. They make sure that I'm being seen. Got a couple of other little challenges that happen, but what I'm saying, all that to say, you need to know your numbers. You need to know what your baseline is, and you need to go to the doctor every year to see if that number's double. Now mine doubled. It 100% did what it was supposed to do for somebody that has prostate cancer. But if I would have gone within the year's time, maybe they could have caught it when it was stage 1. But I had missed 20 months, and I came there and it was stage 4. So I can't stress enough. Know your numbers and continue to know the trend, and go to the doctor every year. So I'm one of as people tell me, I'm definitely blessed because most people don't come back from stage 4. And I'm healthy as a horse. Only thing that, just have some urinary problems, not problems, it's just urgency. When it's time to go, it's time to go. And you don't negotiate with it. You go find the closest bathroom right there. And it's the mental stuff that goes along with it too. But I got a great I got a great support system, and they don't let me stay in the weeds too long. So did I
Sabrina,
answer your question?
Yes, it does, sir, my friend. Sabrina, do you have anything to add to any of that?
No, not a thing.
So we all know a couple years ago this thing called COVID hit, and
Hmm.
people didn't understand. Some people still don't understand about COVID and how it how it affected the African American community. Um, in your opinion, how did the pandemic reshape the health conversation among Black men?
Sabrina, you want to go?
Um, honestly, I don't know how the conversation affected Black men. I just know that the conversation affected people to want to know what was wrong with them. From the experience I have. Well, there was two things that with COVID. The thing that happened with COVID was the people not wanting to get the vaccine.
That part.
I'm not getting this vaccine. They don't know what that is. They don't know what it is. But you take Tylenol, you take medication for your blood pressure. Those people that are taking it, you take medication because you have a headache or if you're having a pain here. You do not know what is in that medication. You don't know. People are taking medication every day for something, and but when this vaccine comes along, that is supposed to be something that we can take for preventive measures. You don't want to. And that for me was one of the biggest things that I just could not understand. You never know what the vaccine is going to do until you take it. Because these people, it has been been approved. I'll take it. I had people to tell me, "Well, uh, no, I didn't take the vaccine." Right now, because of the vaccine, I have people who ask, "Would you, um, would you give consent for a blood transfusion if it's not COVID blood?" I mean,
If it's not COVID blood, I can't.
really,
We lost.
it doesn't matter. It's not like that we're going to say, "Hey, okay, we're giving away a unit of blood today. Do you want it?" No, that's not how that works. If they say you need blood to live. We're not. You don't just give it us for nothing. Just a fun game. And for people to say, and I don't want it, is it COVID blood? So that myth behind the vaccines is really, I didn't understand that. I didn't understand why people were so dead against it and they've been taking vaccines for forever and day.
Said,
I got to. The
said you
vaccine
got in
thing,
church.
it got when the minute it got politicized,
Mm,
that's when it went completely off the rails. I'm just gonna keep it real. When it got politicized, that's when people stopped because people gonna believe their politics. So people will listen to a damn politician
first,
before they listen to their doctor.
yep,
And I'm trying to keep it G. The stupidest thing I think I've ever heard before in my life. Because politicians, they push agendas, they do all this other kind of stuff. Now you're sitting up there saying we're taking something that hadn't been tested. We're taking the well, of course, it's a novel virus. Nobody knows anything about this thing, and it's trial and error.
yep,
So medicine is so far advanced now than it was 10 years ago when they were dealing with all these flus and all the rest of that stuff. They sit up. Well, now you got the RNA stuff. Is it's going to mutate your body? Mutate. Hush, Roman. It's gonna mutate this and it's gonna mutate that. And they put politics. The minute they made it political is when people started to die. Period. Point blank. In this, we are of that age. I know James and I are that age when we were 6 or 7 going into that school system and you might not be able to see it, but we all had that little thing on there when we were getting them booster shots.
oh
They
yes,
had us in the line. We went and got it there. There was absolutely no question about that. You were gonna get it because the government said you had to have it for measles, mumps, rubella, and some of these things were almost eradicated.
Yes,
Guess what's coming back? That's out here killing people now. The
me,
damn measles.
me.
It's ridiculous at how they can go out there and put this info. Well, measles cause autism. No, no, nothing. Somebody just put that out there, and now the moms are out there. I want to get my child. You had it. You don't have autism. What? Just make it make sense. But like I said, when they go out there and they put politics into those things, and then with us, and then again, we go back to Tuskegee. They experimenting on us. Now they don't know if that stuff gonna work or not. This something that they're gonna get to kill black folk. This and that. It's just so much misinformation and disinformation out there that makes people. Well, if I get it from somebody, I have natural immunity. You may, but it also might kill you. So it's just some of the most ridiculous stuff out there. But when they put politics into it, politics help kill over 1 million people. I ain't gonna say it killed all of them, but I had a coworker. She was absolutely anti-vax, anti-vax, anti-vax. That COVID got that COVID got onto her. She was on the ventilator for about a month or so. All she talked about is getting the vaccine now. That she is the biggest vaxxer that's out there now because COVID made her a believer. I was in the hospital for 6 days with COVID. Trust and believe. Them people, Don didn't know me back then, but those people, when I tell you that was the scariest thing, I couldn't walk from here to that wall without being out of breath. And one night I thought I was gonna die. You're there by yourself. I'm a medical person. I hear all of the alarms going off, cold blue. You hear people running down the hall. You hear this and that and the other. And my sats in the low 90s. I was scared to death. If COVID didn't kill me, that heart attack was about to kill. But it's just medical. And I'm not saying ignorance in a bad way. I'm saying ignorance in lack of knowledge. And
Mhm.
and politicizing certain things. Because if you're on the right, you ain't gonna take it. Most of them aren't gonna tell you, I'm not taking the stab. I'm not doing this, and I Fauci out here doing this. It's just all kind of nonsense that was going on out there when it came down to that virus. So now people think that COVID is over. It's not. You just don't have as many. You don't have many as many flare ups because most of us went and took the damn shot.
Exactly. Exactly. But that
So
that that is what used to that bothered me so much inside of that process. You would ask, "Are you going to get your COVID vaccine?" Oh no, no, no. We don't know what that is. Well, you take blood pressure medication and you don't know what that is. You're taking warfarin and you
you
don't want
definitely
to.
don't know what that is.
All right,
I'm
you
sorry.
don't
Yeah.
think
What was that? You're taking what?
warfarin.
Warfarin. Warfarin is one of the active ingredients in decon. They have something that eats up one of the organs, and the warfarin thins your blood, and the rat bleeds to death internally.
Okay, I asked that question because as soon as Sabrina said that, I'm talking about you like exactly don't know what's in there. Like it's so many things out there talking about these statistics of how black men are affected with hypertension, with cancer, prostate cancer, and things of that nature. But what other health concerns are affecting black men that we're still not discussing openly enough in our families and communities?
Mental health, 100%. Mental health.
Well,
I'm gonna put mental health up there with cancer and the rest of them
Oh
because
yeah,
it is such a stigma to find out that somebody may be bipolar or maybe somebody has chronic depression or if they have PT because it is such a stigma
it
in
is.
our community to have something to be deemed as you got a mental health issue.
Yeah.
It's a disease. It's treatable just like the rest of these other things. They got medications, they have therapies, they have all these other things. But man, he crazy. You get the crazy tag put onto you, and most men are not going to go nowhere. They're not going to touch, and they sit here and they absolutely suffering depression. You see these men sitting out there doing all this other kind of stuff, not to be depressed, and they're dying on the inside. And next thing you know, something that has not been talked about a whole lot is suicide rates.
Ooh.
Black men are killing themselves at a record number now than they ever have in the past. Than they ever
And
have in the past. Because they don't address their mental health issues because they are made to feel less than. Oh, I ain't finna go and talk to nobody. I ain't finna go lay on no couch. I'm not fixing to do all this stuff. And they suffer in silence, and then the whole world collapses around them, and they find no way out other than kill themselves. So I'm gonna put mental health up there with diabetes and hypertension and cancer. All of it goes together. Because think about it. If your mental health is off, you definitely not going to take care of the rest of the other problems that you have because you're paranoid or it don't matter because I'm gonna die anyway. It's just we have to get out of these stigma diseases. We just have to get out of it. You got to go find somebody, a professional, or find somebody to talk to. Like I said, I talk to I call him my type man. God, he probably just, I just talk to him about everything, and he listens, and he gives me his opinion and all that stuff of that nature. I talked to you, David. Davies and I, his car broke down, man, and
don't talk about my last.
we straight out had we went back to we were about 11. I'm laying on my right side, he laying on his left side, and we talked almost all night about everything. It was nothing. We because we have a trust with one another, and we know that what we say to one another is not going to go anywhere other than what we said. And men have to find somebody to vent to.
And I
And
think they have to, I think family, spouses, girlfriends, they have to be supportive. They have to recognize that your husband,
Yes,
girlfriend, father, that they need support. They need somebody
yes,
that they
yes.
can share those things with and not worry about you going to
And
tell
be judged. And be
you
judged.
he does.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and that goes.
They're gonna lose their wife because I'm this kind of way, so she's not gonna want to have anything to do with me, that type of thing. And so, definitely have that marriage and being bonded and being trusting and being supportive. You got to have my back because I may not be able to do what I need to do during this time, and I need for you to be there. I mean, and I think that goes both ways. Men and women need to step up to the plate. If you're going to be married to a person, you need to support that person. You need to do whatever you need to for that person to be by your side as long as you can.
And and that's so true. And the black man out. This is what my doctor said to me. Um, when I still go to my doctor, we're gonna get on talk about the mental aspect real quick. I'm just going to give a testimony on that, and then we're gonna get back to because this is completely different podcast that I'm gonna have talking about mental health. But a quick way to understand how stress, mental health, being bipolar, having PTSD works. It's like Sid used the analogy of a balloon. When it gets full, it gets deformed. But just think about it like this. When you have a cup and you put everything in that cup, or you pour in everything that's going on in your life, you just put it in that cup and you're not dealing with it. You're pouring it into that cup and you're not dealing with it. You're pouring it into that cup and you're not dealing with it. Eventually, that cup is going to run over.
Mhm.
And mentally, it's the same concept. And it all depends, like Sid mentioned, suicide. Or, you have people out here killing their kids, then turning the gun on themselves, killing themselves. We have no idea what that stress is about. But, it's happening. So I'm waiting. I asked him to join, but I can't really see him. Ray, are you there? Ray is the combat medic, the friend of mine from the Army that I was talking about, who has a lot of insight when it comes to Ray, I can't hear you. And I was asking people to come on to ask questions, but I can't hear him. Ray, so but that's one thing that, as I was saying, another topic that I'm going to talk about is going to be mental health and how it affects Black men in the community. Don, do you still not have any volume either in audio? Are there any questions that you have? If so, you can put it in the chat. Ray, I can't hear you if you're saying anything. I want to see it to come back before we go into this closing. I'm trying to give Ray an opportunity to come in, but it shows where he's off. I don't know if he's having difficulties, but I asked Sabrina and Sid to look into the camera. 60 seconds. Give a message directly to Black men about living. Hold on, I'm not going to ask that. No, I'm not going to do that yet. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to answer that. Ray, pop back in. Hello, Ray. Hello, Ray. I still can't hear you, brother.
Ray, if you can look onto the screen, there's a little button that looks like a gear down there. Click on that and see what your audio setting is. It's gonna come out there. You're gonna see some tabs that says video, audio, and then it's gonna tell you what your audio input is. That's probably where part of your problem is you got to choose if you're going to be if you have headphones on, if you're going to be speaking through your car, if you're going to be speaking through your phone. You may have to choose what your audio input is going to be so we can hear you.
Ray, are you saying it right?
I look like his camera froze. Oh, his camera's probably froze because he's in the settings screen.
Hey, Ray. Oh, man. Okay. Well, while we're waiting for Ray to try to work on that audio, hopefully he'll be able to get it figured out because I know he got a lot of insight. I was going to ask another question. What is the difference between looking healthy, feeling healthy, and actually being medically healthy? And why does that distinction matter?
Well, let's go. Looking healthy is just that. You look healthy. You can look fantastic, be in tip-top shape, and being eaten up with cancer. You have high blood pressure, stuff of that nature. So you can't go strictly on looks. Now, sometimes looks will absolutely be the determine if you're not doing well or not. But you got some people out here that look amazing, high blood pressure, hypertension, heart disease, all this other kind of stuff. So you can't really, go for how you look on the outside. You have to go and have tests done. I don't care
Yeah.
how you have to have some kind of diagnostic done. There are age specific things unless
Hmm.
you have a family history of stuff. They tell people men start getting their PSAs done at 40. I think Black men need to get theirs done in their 30s. 100%. You should, and when you become an adult, you should already know what your blood pressure is, especially African American men, because we're predisposed to be hypertensive. If you're overweight, you
Mm-hmm.
need to be checking your A1. They need to be checking your A1Cs to make sure that you're not diabetic. Because the bigger you are, the more you have a higher propensity to be a diabetic. So there are just some things you just have to, and you have to know what these numbers mean. I can't stress more than anything to know what a normal blood sugar range is, to know what your hemoglobin A1C range is, to know
Mm-hmm.
what your not just what your prostate number is, but what the trend has been. It's not one number, it is the trend. You have to know your trends. Same thing with your kidneys. 0.6 to 1.2, that is your reference range. When it gets to be 1.2, somebody needs to be, hey, we need to be looking at what's going on. Do you have kidney disease? Or do you have high blood pressure? Do you have diabetes? And if they are they controlled or not? Because if those two things are not controlled, your kidney numbers are only going to get worse. And the worse they get, the less they function. You have to know what these numbers are, and you have to know what they mean. And you have to have some trust in healthcare. I can't. I think those two things right there, those three things right there what could give us 10 more years if we know the things that's going on in our bodies. You can look great, but on the outside you can be toe up. And you can't go by just looks. You have to go by a plethora of things.
Ray keeps trying to come in. He said he couldn't hear anything. Ray, can you
I
hear
heard
me?
you that time.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can hear you.
Okay.
Man, look at that. Technology doing what technology's supposed to do.
Yeah, it is. Hey, Sid and Sabrina, this is Mr. Ray Borrego. He's a friend of mine from the military. Ray,
Pleasure to meet y'all.
do you have any comment or question?
So it was the comment was in regards to what should, community, so to speak, that's not necessarily my own, be aware of. And it's once a pill or a remedy has been given, it don't mean it's gone. It don't mean don't pay attention to it no more. Just because you got that high blood pressure pill doesn't mean you don't need to go ahead and take an investment in looking into kidney health and renal health and avoiding dialysis and finding out what those scores are and what they actually mean. Because what I'm struggling with Andrea, one of her scores came back and it's like, hey, your kidney's got actual damage,
Yes.
and you need to be worried about that. But it comes from chronic hypertension. But we got the hypertension under control, so don't worry about nothing else. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. This score right here that says it's supposed to be a minimum of 90 is a 60. What do you mean don't worry about it? You're
You're
not
already
worried
in
about it because
stage
it's
two.
not your loved one.
Yep.
It's that number goes down every little bit every year, and then we're just gonna put you on dialysis later on if we just tell you don't worry about it. And it's like, well, why do you tell me something different, but you tell my wife something different?
Right.
So being that I come from the healthcare field, I get to see what I'm told, but then I go to my wife's appointments and then I pay attention to what she's not told.
Mm.
That part.
Ooh, Ray.
That
Ray.
part.
Why? Oh, you just hit something. Boy, I got some chills when you said that,
Right.
Ray. Now, why is that? Why is it
Because
that?
people, and that's what I was talking about community before. People speak freely within their community and they speak less freely when it's somebody that don't look like them.
See
And
there.
Mm.
now,
See
mind you,
there.
that is
And
the
there and the mistrust. There your
that's the
mistrust
part where
right there.
I don't contribute to that's the don't contribute to maliciousness, what you can contribute to ignorance aspect, but it's continuously malicious ignorance at the same time. So it's like I'm not gonna worry about you because I'm gonna worry about what looks like me, and it's just
Right.
it just goes straight into it at every level I've ever been a part of the medical field. That's
And
why I
that's
was saying
why.
Mistrust.
earlier about how do you speak to a community when you can't, like if Mark Cuban, the billionaire, doesn't even want to desire to teach his profitable community about why they could get a service or product for him because the juice ain't worth the squeeze and it takes too much time to teach an entire community why they need a product. It's just easier if you take a look at the current administration to go, hey, look, instead of trying to educate everybody on it, just find what is the common enemy amongst us and point at it and say that's the enemy. And now we all get together and go, that's the enemy.
Mm.
That's easier to get a community to do and say, hey, just say no to fast food as a community than versus try to teach them how to be healthy. If you go back and watch the movie Animal Farm, they just put out
Yep.
a new version of it. That movie came out, the original one came out in the 80s. But if you
Yep.
want to think about how to like help a community, you can also take a look at that and weaponize the same tactics to help a community as well. Because that's exactly what they're doing right now. If you know the movie, you know. If you don't, go watch it.
Mm.
Love it.
And that's a couple of years ago. For my job, I went to this community that grew their own food. They had their own animals, chickens, and the whole nine. What's that terminology? Self-sufficient or something like that? Something I don't
Self-sufficient.
even.
Self-sufficient homesteading.
Yeah, and and that is something that's just like now. My daughter has a little garden out back where she has tomatoes, those little cherry tomatoes, and the guy came to spray. True Green guy came to spray the yard or whatever, and I was at work, and she texted me, said, "Dad, what is the guy doing?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "He just spraying the grass." And she was like, "No, it's gonna get on the tomatoes, and that pesticide or whatever is gonna mess. That's the same thing that they put on the other food, and it's gonna mess the food up." And I said that to piggyback off what Ray and everyone and what we've been talking about when it comes to food that we're eating healthy and things of that nature. Just like I've seen things, Angelina, well, my daughter, as I stated, is very adamant about it. Where I don't remember who it is, some billionaire was talking about fake meat. Fake cow is not real meat or whatever. And I've seen things on TikTok where this guy was talking, he was saying, when you go to the store, if the tuna look like this, the salmon look like this, don't buy it because it's not real. There's an issue with the salmon or whatever. So that goes back to what we were saying about the food that we eat. Ray, and I thank you for coming on and giving your insight. Is there anything else that you have?
I'm good. I appreciate it. Y'all have a blessed one.
You too, my brother. Hey, love you, brother.
Love you too, man. Peace.
So as I stated, Ray, I said he was a friend, but he more like family. Him and his wife, Borrego. His wife, Andrea. His wife is black, by the way. So he just hit something dead on the head. When he go to the doctor with his wife, she's not told the same thing that he's told. That goes back to the mistrust. Why African American, not only African American men, African Americans, period, do not trust doctors, do not want to go to doctors because they don't trust them, first of all. And that's something that needs to be, we need to address that. Sabrina, we was talking about COVID and the COVID vaccine. All of that can be thrown into that one pot to say, we don't trust what these doctors are telling us. Some of it may, I'm gonna look at it from both sides. I'm gonna be on the side of doctors telling you what you need to do and to take your medicine of that nature. I respect that. But also there's a flip side to that to caveat off what Ray just said. So I respect that. I wish we had more people to come on to make us a comment or to ask a question. But one thing that I want to talk about before we close is oral hygiene. I have a friend, my friend Sue, his daughter is a dental hygienist.
Hygienist.
Dennis.
I know it's a hyenas. You see, you say it's a joke. It's a movie. It's a movie
Okay.
with Kevin Hart where he was like the guy was like, I want to be a dental hyenas. But
Okay.
anyway, so that's very important. And a lot of people don't understand how that oral health, having that good oral health, or having bad oral hygiene is going to negatively affect your body. Can you all speak on that?
You go first, baby.
Well, definitely. Whenever you have, well, I think it's just about taking care of yourself. Period. You have to take care of your teeth. That is so important because there has been uh, people that cannot have certain procedures done because of their teeth.
Yep,
There, you
absolutely.
can have, if your teeth are not, if you have not taken care of your teeth, there have been times where you have to have all of your teeth removed before you can have a procedure done, especially when it comes to your heart.
Yes, ma'am.
You can have had certain type of surgeries, like me having a knee replacement. Before I go to the dentist just for a cleaning, I have to take an antibiotic. So, I mean, every part of your body affects every part of your body. There's something going to affect, and it's related to something else. And definitely the oral part, that oral care is so important. I mean, because it causes not. I mean, just so many different things. And people think that well, I can't go to the dentist, or I don't want anybody. The same stigma about going to the dentist is just like for everything else. They take for granted, but th- your oral care is just as important. I mean, because it affects so many things. Because if you get an infection, that infection in your teeth could cause sepsis, shock. I mean, it could be the death of you as well.
Absolutely correct. And then the flip side, if you have diabetes and some of these other problems, they can aggravate your oral problems as well. People don't
Mhm.
understand that diabetes and hypertension. They're just two evil twins.
Oh
If
yeah.
you don't get them under control, especially because people don't understand blood sugar. Your blood sugar is elevated. It's a bacteria medium when your blood sugars are elevated. So you create another problem there. And as she said, I take it you're cardiovascular.
Yeah, I work
Uh,
with cardiovascular now.
so like she nailed it. If you got rotten teeth, they're going to make you go because I worked in cardiovascular. You're going to go to the dentist and they're going to pull all your teeth, all those
All of
rotten
them.
teeth. They're going to pull them
Everyone.
out because you have a higher propensity to end up with what they call endocarditis, or
Endocarditis. That's right.
if you have endocarditis, and they kind of figure it came from your mouth, they're going to take your teeth out.
Oh yeah.
So all of that stuff, and just think about it. You need your teeth to chew. I mean, the less teeth that you have, the more ineffective that you're going to end up, swallowing and all this other kind of stuff. So you're absolutely correct. Your oral health has to be top notch as well too. And I didn't do this as a child, as a young adult, but I'm 100% screaming it now. When you go to the dentist, you do everything you possibly can to preserve your teeth.
Exactly.
Do what you can to preserve because people don't understand when that tooth goes, your gums go.
Uh-huh.
And that is just one of the because if anybody has a missing tooth and they go up there and look, that gum is gone. You just have the roof of your mouth and that's it. As long as you
Hmm.
got a tooth in there, you're gonna keep your gums. Now, of course, you want your gums to be healthy, so you're gonna brush, you're gonna floss, you're gonna go like she said, go to have the deep cleaning done because you can't get under the gum line like
Mm-mm.
those dentists and those dental hygienists can do. So you definitely have to do that for overall health because, as she said, as she alluded to earlier, cavities, caries, all these things in your mouth can affect your overall health.
Oh, yeah.
There was a question by the lovely Michelle Davies that asked, does male hormones play a role in blood sugar levels?
I guess what you mean, like testosterone, and is that what she's talking about?
I'm assuming yes.
I had to sit down and think about that. I know it has a lot to do with cancer. I mean,
Right.
prostate cancer. But that is, yeah, I ain't gonna tell no lie. I have to look that one up myself. I've not made a
Yeah, I've never
correlation.
heard about the hormones having anything to do with the blood sugar. I know if you have the blood sugar, it could, cause effect with the. But as far as I wouldn't know that. I don't know. I've never heard that before. But hey,
Hmm.
it could be possible.
Oh no, it says low testosterone is linked to increased insulin resistance, which leads to type 2 diabetes.
Type
I,
two.
I
Okay.
did not know that. So yeah, there is a correlation. It's bi-directional. So
So does that mean if you have high testosterone or low testosterone?
low, low.
Low.
Okay, so that's another test that black men need to have. That is when they go to and have their labs, they need to, if they're not, they need to ask to have their testosterone checked.
Yeah, but normally they're not gonna ask. That's not a test that a lot of people, not unless you're feeling tired
But
and all of a sudden you don't have any more body hair or something of that nature. Or they're looking at their parts and they're something is not the same size as it used to be or stuff that nature. Normally they're just not gonna just come out there and let me check your T.
No,
but
they're
But
not gonna do that.
yeah,
but see
but you have to have something specific going on that they go out there and start testing tests because it's a specialty test. Mm.
but is it okay? Is it through your? Is it just like when I if you go have your blood drawn?
Yeah,
Is that when it tests? Is it
yeah.
tested through that?
It's a blood draw. But you have to, and what men have to, well, you have to understand this about testosterone. Absolutely, it's our hormone, just like estrogen is to them. But you have to be careful when you start taking what they call exogenous testosterone, because once your body realizes you're not
Mhm.
making it anymore, it's not going to make it.
It's
It's
not
going to
gonna
turn
make
it off.
it. That's right.
It's going to turn
Completely.
it off because you're getting it from an outside source. So once you start testosterone, more than likely you're going to be on it for the rest of your life.
Wow. And see, that is something, and that goes back to like, go ahead.
And testosterone, because with my cancer, I don't make testosterone because testosterone fuels prostate cancer. So you have to be careful about when you getting these exogenous shots and stuff. Trust me, you need it. Absolutely get it. But you need to, when you are on it, you need to get your PSA checked regularly. I mean, regularly. You need to get your PSA checked.
So with that, it goes, we have said this a couple of times. You know better, you should do better.
Hmm.
There's black men out there who refuse and are, because of the stigma, because of not wanting to know, can be having issues that is caused by low testosterone, and they'll never know it because they're not getting it checked. But like I said, it goes back to what we were saying earlier. We have to do better. We have to educate one another, and we have to go out into the community to have these type of discussions, because people are not going to come up to you to talk about it.
Absolutely not.
So you got to be bold and go out to them and talk about them about certain things, so they will be able to say, hey, okay, well, this is what's going on. These are some things that you need to do to live healthier and things of that nature. So before we close, I want each one of you to look straight into the camera for 60 seconds and give a message directly to Black men about living healthy. Sabrina, my sister, you can go first. And you on the
My
clock. I'm joking.
my message is that to my brothers is to stop the cycle. Be the change that you want to be. Love your family enough to go and love yourself. If you are able to get you a primary care doctor, somebody that you can trust, somebody that you can talk to and they understand you, I go to the doctor, keep appointments, and as I said, follow up. Take the medication, and when you see that the medication isn't working, go back to the doctor and say, "Hey, this isn't working for me." Stay consistent. Just follow through. And a lot of this is one thing too that we didn't touch on, but a lot of men, when they go to the doctor, they think they need to go by themselves all the time. Sometimes you may need somebody to go with you, your
Hmm.
spouse or a sister, or somebody that knows questions that can be asked, or they know what's going on with you and they can relay that to the doctor. So be proactive, follow the regimen or whatever it is that the doctor has set for you, and be consistent in caring for yourself. Love yourself.
And one thing that you mentioned was, I remember a couple of New Year's, at least last year, New Year's, when our mother was in the hospital. You and my daughter was able to dumb it down for everybody else.
That's true.
So, with that being said, I ask questions, or you can ask questions, but a lot of times, they have to dumb it down to you, because you're not going to understand if you're not in that medical field. They're going to say some things you may not understand it. So I can understand exactly that statement you just made, Sabrina. Okay, Mr. Sidney R. Langford Jr.
Before I get started, I just noticed the little Facebook chat that was on the inside. Hey, Michelle, I wasn't ignoring you. I just came over here just to see it. But to my brothers, we have to be proactive in our health, not when we get to be old as we are. You have to take health into your hands as a young man. And when I say young man, I mean 20s. You need to set your baselines and you need to follow through with age appropriate exams. If you have issues with, if you have a family history of certain diseases, you need to do it even sooner because, like I said, genetics plays a part in it. That's the one modifiable, non-modifiable
No,
uh,
my fault.
thing that you have that you cannot do anything about. But a lot of the stuff you can do just by knowing what your numbers are and knowing what the treatment plans as Sabrina said earlier, talk to somebody. That's been one of the biggest things to help me through my situation, especially with this prostate cancer, because sometimes you're not comfortable about talking about something, and even with your spouse, but sometimes with a male that you can trust and you can sit down because it is a male problem and may, they'll be a little bit more, I think, apt to listen to you because they have the same parts. That's just me. Uh, and like I said, know your numbers, be proactive, and just don't let no a doctor say your numbers are good. Know what a good number is, and know your trends. I think those things are the things that you need to do in order to continue down this uh, uh, continuum of trying to keep yourself healthy and find somebody to decompress to. It's just that mental health thing is real. And go out. There are so many sources out there that you can go out there for information. Google, go to the CDC, the NIH, all those other kind of things, and keep politics out your health because these politicians they ain't trying to keep you safe. They just trying to deal with whoever's putting money in their coffers and stuff of that nature. Listen attentively, and don't be afraid to ask your doctor's questions. I can't stress that enough. If saying your numbers are good, what are they? If you're taking blood pressure medicine, go get your blood pressure cuff. If you're diabetic, go and find some way to stick your finger. And worry about not what you wake up with, but what it is 2 or 3 hours down the line, and then take those numbers and let the doctor know, hey, this is what's going on with me, and you got me on this. It's not working. So you just have to be a good steward of what's going on with you. And I yield back. Maybe a little bit over, but that's
Come
I'm
on, bro. We're not in a I yield back. Okay. I would like to thank the both of you for taking the time out to come on and have this candid conversation about something that is very important in our community. I thank everyone who Ray and Don who came on. I thank everyone who's watching through Facebook or YouTube. I appreciate your love, and what I want to say in closing is, brothers, our families need us, not just successfully, but healthy.
Mhm.
They need us not just to be successful, but healthy. Was a great topic. I'm JD. This has been JD's Veranda, where great conversations continue long after the cameras stop rolling. Most podcasts just talk. We start conversations. Until next time, we'll see you back on the veranda. Thank you all for coming out.